Wembley, the former member of the Sex Pistols, had been accused of beating up somebody some weeks ago. Vicious tried to commit suicide by cutting his wrists. One day after he was let out on bail, he died this morning. Bob Teague traces the final hours in the life of this tormented young man.
When police arrived at this 5-story brownstone on Bank Street in the Village, they found the body in a ground floor bedroom. Sid Vicious, the punk rock star, dead from an overdose of heroin. The dead man's mother had discovered the body at noon today when she went to awaken him in the bedroom of his girlfriend, Michelle Robinson. Miss Robinson, asleep at the time, was not aware that her boyfriend had died during the night. The story told to police by Miss Robinson and the dead man's mother goes like this. Sid Vicious, awaiting trial for the murder of a former girlfriend, had been released on bail yesterday from the prison on Rikers Island. He came here at 6 p.m. His mother and Miss Robinson had arranged a celebration in Miss Robinson's village apartment. About 10 friends came to the party. It continued until 2 a.m. Sid Vicious, they say, had been happy and jovial, talking at length about a comeback and the bright future in showbiz. Around midnight, he injected himself with heroin. A bad reaction followed. He regained and lost consciousness 3 or 4 times, they say, but eventually seemed to recover. He went to bed with his girlfriend at 3 a.m. and seemed to be all right. But Sid Vicious, police say, died from an overdose of heroin, and there was no indication of foul play. On Bank Street in the Village, Bob Teague, News Center 4.
Here now the news. Sid Vicious will not have to stand trial for the murder of a girlfriend at the Chelsea Hotel. Sid is no longer vicious, he's dead. His nude body found in a Greenwich Village apartment, spoon and syringe nearby. The heroin overdose may have been accidental. Sid Vicious, a British punk rocker, became famous by being well known. Certainly not for his music. Perhaps for his public obscenities, antisocial statements, and vulgarities. Bob Leip has more.
Well, just one more in hundreds of overdose deaths in New York City every year. This one was the ultimate for a punk rocker whose life was a discordant jangle that gave savage substance to his stage name, Sid Vicious. John Simon Ritchie, dead of a heroin overdose at a girlfriend's home here on Bank Street. Detective Hausman, he arrived here at 6 p.m. last night. 6 p.m. The party followed.
Right.
The heroin was injected about
midnight.
He had an overdose reaction at that point.
Right.
And then...
he came out of it, and then he went back. Then a little while later, he went back to bed, and then he died in his sleep.
The ex-Sex Pistol was described as happy about prospects for a bright future when he came here to 63 Bank last night and girlfriend Michelle Robinson and his mother, and partied a bit after having been released from Rikers Island. John Simon Ritchie, a.k.a. Sid Vicious, had a 1 p.m. appointment with Homicide to talk about the murder charges against him in the killing of his girlfriend Nancy Spungen. 1 hour earlier, he was found dead in bed. On Bank Street, Bob Leip reporting for Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
The death of Sid Vicious closes the murder case he was involved in. Vicious accused of stabbing his girlfriend, killing her in a Manhattan hotel last October. The district attorney's office tells us there will be no further investigation of that case.
Last fall for the murder of companion Nancy Spungen, a subsequent suicide attempt while out on bail, and then an attack on the brother of singer Patti Smith that sent Vicious back to Rikers Island. He had just made bail again and was celebrating his release when he took what witnesses told police was an injection of heroin.
About 12 o'clock, Sid Vicious shot up some heroin, and he had a reaction to it, which he came out of about 45 minutes later. And then about 2 o'clock, he lay down to go to sleep.
Sid Vicious had undergone drug detoxification while in custody on Rikers Island. If he had used the same amount of drugs as he was used to, that program could have led to his death.
The significance of detoxification is that if a drug user is detoxified and uses the same dose he was used to, it can be lethal. So the detoxification program takes the drug user off the drug, but it also removes whatever tolerance or immunity he has to the drugs.
Authorities say if that is what happened to Sid Vicious, they may be able to find out during an autopsy. All they know for now is that he had been asleep with companion Michelle Robinson at the time of his death. She's an unemployed actress who was hustled away from the scene along with the victim's mother as the crowd of curious and neighbors grew in size.
Oh, my God.
Richard.
Oh, my.
Donna Florio lived just across the hall from the apartment in which the singer died, but she would not say whether she was among the 8 people who attended last night's party for Sid Vicious.
Did you know that Vicious was staying here?
Yeah, I did.
Can you give us any insight as to how he had been acting recently?
I don't believe this going on.
But police say they were told by the victim's girlfriend that his last hours were spent looking toward the future.
He was speaking about his future. The conversation with his girlfriend was about his future, and it appears from the conversation he didn't want to do away with himself.
What sort of future was he contemplating?
I have no idea. He just was talking about his future.
Now, authorities told me they have no doubt their initial conclusion will hold up after an autopsy. That is, an accidental overdose of heroin. But they say that considering who the victim is and the trouble he has been in, they're being extra cautious in investigating.